class, we did our project on credentialed homeschool teaching. I am Melynda Nino.
I am Shauna Chavez.
I'm Marisol Castellan.
And I'm Reyna Morales.
So, what is a homeschool teacher? Specifically, a credentialed homeschool teacher. They provide guidance, resources, strategies, and support to homeschool parents to ensure optimal learning and development. They meet with families, collect work samples, and oversee testing to ensure students meet Common Core state standards. Additionally, they address student needs for academic intervention, including participation in IEP meetings. So, what do homeschool teachers do? They work with families to plan Common Core based curriculum and ensure compliance, communicate with parents to provide school updates regarding important dates, procedures, and events, collect, record, and review student work samples, connect with families with resources to troubleshoot barriers and challenges, approve voucher requests for use of family funds, be active participants during IEP meetings, and including state testing, organize and lead field trips, foster love for learning by encouraging families to make learning enjoyable and inspiring.
Homeschool teachers work for public charter schools, so they earn regular teacher salaries that range between 64,000 to 90,000 per year. They do have the possibility of receiving stipends for overseeing a larger volume of students, which would be greater than 24 students. They have a very flexible schedule. They usually work remotely. They must be available during regular business hours, but can work from home. They're required to meet with homeschooled students once per month, but the meetings are scheduled by the homeschool teacher, and most meetings can be done virtually, although they do require the teacher to meet with the students in person just once per semester. They are also required to virtually proctor state testing during set windows at the end of the school year, so they must be available during that set amount of time.
And in order to work in this career field, you do need to have a bachelor's degree and a valid California teaching credential. You need to graduate from an accredited college or university with your bachelor's degree. Most students going into this career field usually have a major in child and adolescent development or liberal studies. In order to get a valid California teaching credential, you have to complete a teacher preparation program. We do have this option at Sac State, but you can do this at any other accredited credentialing program as well. You have to complete the Reading Instruction Competence Assessment, complete the California Basic Educational Skills Test, as well as complete the California Subject Examinations for Teachers. After those are completed, you have to complete 600 hours of student teaching and pass a background test. After that, you would apply for the preliminary teaching credential. And before that expires, you obtain your clear credential, which proves you've met all the requirements to be a certified teacher, and your valid teaching credential lasts for 5 years. We also have some recommendations of having your English learner authorization, having an understanding of the Common Core standards, behavioral management techniques, and how to record and keep your students' assessments. We also recommend having at least 3 letters of recommendation and transcripts of all your coursework. You also have received advice to potentially receive experience working in a standard classroom before moving to a homeschool teaching position just for the experience. And once hired, you will have to take a TB test.
So, what are some of the benefits, drawbacks, and advice for this role? As mentioned, when working this job, you are able to have a flexible schedule. This job can also be very rewarding by working with these families and children one-on-one. You're able to build close bonds with each and every single one of them. It's also a very welcoming environment, and it's reduced external pressure because unlike working as a public school teacher, you don't have as much pressure being a credentialed homeschool teacher. So some of the drawbacks are having to remind parents of their roles and what things they need to complete and do on their part. They're also heightened after COVID. Some parents have grown a lack of respect for teachers. This job could also be very demanding. As mentioned, you could have 24 children that you're watching over, and that can be a lot for some people. There's also some cultural differences and communication, like language barriers, that can be an issue. So, some advice offered for this role is to be organized. You have a lot of families you're watching over that involves a lot of paperwork. So, you want to make sure you're being organized and you're keeping track of what you need to keep track of. It's also important to gain connections early on in this field, and it's recommended to communicate and grow a bond with these families. And, because it's a teacher role, self-care is super important, and setting realistic expectations for yourself and the job are also very important. This concludes the presentation on being a homeschooled credential teacher. Hopefully you've learned something new about this career, and if you find it interesting, for sure look more into about this field. Thank you for watching.